help Indonesia Tzu Chi volunteers organize a meatless week event to repay the grace of Buddha. We meet palliative care nurse Cai Xiumei, who helps her patient find peace of mind during the final stage of their lives. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Now. Thank you for joining us. We kick off the show in Australia. Tzu Chi volunteers held Buddha Day ceremonies in Gold Coast, Melbourne, and Brisbane to honor the Buddha.
Under the guidance of Dharma masters, Tzu Chi's Buddha Day ceremony commences in Brisbane, Australia. These Buddha Day rituals are perhaps foreign to many Caucasian participants, but all are willing to give it a try. It is also the first Buddha Day ceremony for many children.
I wanted them to experience what the Buddha Day ceremony was like and how to honor the Buddha and bring Buddha into their lives.
The combined celebration of Mother's Day enhances the day for children. The musical performance of the Sutra of Profound Gratitude to Parents helped many children and parents understand the meaning of the texts.
Performing the sutra text in a play makes it easier for the children to understand because some of the meaning of the words is hard to grasp. Even the children who attend Chinese school here have a hard time understanding the entire sutra.
Understanding the hardship of being a parent, while serving tea to their parents, each child displays affection to them. In Melbourne, Tzu Chi volunteers held a Buddha Day ceremony at the White Horse Council Box Hill Town Hall. Tzu Chings perform in the moment of thinking, a sutra musical reminding everyone to safeguard all sentient beings and return to our pure nature. While honoring the Buddha, participants hope to find their heart's direction. At Tzu Chi's Gold Coast Buddha Day ceremony, the event was held entirely in English. This East meets West ceremony has put a spouse from China at ease.
I just moved to Australia and had felt lonely until now. Today, I no longer feel so lonely.
Stephen, a local Australian volunteer, was served tea by his two daughters. But in the end, the three enjoyed the cup of tea together.
I've been coming here for some time now, doing a little bit of volunteer work, but mainly learning how to cook good vegetarian food and spending time with some wonderful people.
To conclude the ceremony, some participants brought their filled bamboo coin banks to donate their love, continuing to spread love to more people in need.
In Asia, due to a stormy weather, Thailand Tzu Chi volunteers' preparations for this year's Buddha Day ceremony were suddenly interrupted. However, the volunteers were not discouraged and soon restored the weather-beaten venue, enabling the Buddha Day ceremonies to conclude on a perfect note.
Prior to Tzu Chi's Buddha Day ceremony, Thailand Tzu Chi volunteers worked around the clock to decorate the venue, setting up a scaffold for the display of the Buddha purifying the global war mural. Later, volunteers seized the opportunity to do their final rehearsal.
Everyone is so dedicated. You can see that from their clothing. They're here ready to work. Although everyone works under the sun for a whole day, no one complains.
Unfortunately, the next morning, the volunteers find the venue has been damaged by stormy weather during the night. The scaffold and pop planes are down, while tables and chairs are covered with mud and dirt. What's worse is the waterlogged ground. Despite the mess, Tzu Chi volunteers are not discouraged, as they soon clear the water away and set up the ceremonial table again. Holding on to a heart of joy, these volunteers come together to reorganize the venue for the ceremony. Around 4 p.m., Dharma masters and community members arrive at the venue. Despite the muddy ground, no one falters in paying their respects to the Buddha.
Dharma masters in Thailand also have a chance to learn how to give back to society from Tzu Chi volunteers. We are very grateful for this opportunity.
We have seen that Tzu Chi volunteers play an indispensable role in numerous people's lives. They offer their assistance to the needy with hearts full of gratitude.
The majority of Thailand's Buddhists are Hinayana Buddhists, but Tzu Chi's Buddhist practices and charity missions are still widely accepted here. Over 1,800 participants come to take part this year. A former official of the Ministry of Public Health expresses his opinions about Tzu Chi.
Tzu Chi's Buddha Day ceremony is filled with dignity and solemnity. Its purpose is to let participants come to purify their minds and souls and reaffirm their devotion to Tzu Chi's missions.
Following the recent political instability in Thailand, Tzu Chi's Buddha Day ceremony injects a timely sense of calm and peace to help the people through this difficult time.
In Singapore, the local Tzu Chi chapter celebrated Buddha Day, Mother's Day, and Global Tzu Chi Day by holding an event outdoor. The ceremony was joined by 7,500 people, including representatives from the nation's 8 major religions and Minister of Social and Family Development.
At Singapore's Yau Chu Kang Stadium, 123 Dharma masters lead 7,500 people in paying their respect to the Buddha. For the 4th year, the Singapore Tzu Chi chapter is hosting the Buddha Day ceremony outdoor. This is also Dharma Master Chuan Xian's 4th consecutive participation.
I'm quite impressed with Tzu Chi. It advocates living Buddhism and compassion and helps people walk the Bodhisattva path.
Different religious leaders to pray for the country, to pray for each other is something very unique.
The minister of the country's Ministry of Social and Family Development also attends the event and shares his insight.
Tzu Chi has performed very well over the years. It contributed a great deal to promoting racial harmony, and more importantly, it inspired many Singaporeans and Singaporean NGOs to take on charity work, which not only benefited Singapore, but our neighboring countries as well.
As love is universal, representatives of the nation's 8 major religions come offer their blessings for the 3rd consecutive year.
It is still a very calm feeling. I think that what they're doing is fantastic and they should carry on doing it. I would say well done.
They don't mind you are come from which religion, which the faith. We can come, stay together, work together. This one I think very good.
This night in Singapore, transcending ethnicities and religions, people come together in prayers in hopes of a better tomorrow.
Indonesia, as well as holding Buddha Day ceremonies to repay the grace of Buddha, our parents, and all humanity. Local volunteers also organize a vegetarian week to encourage members of the public to go meatless. Inside the kitchen of the Indonesia Tzu Hall, despite the hot cooking environment, Tzu Chi volunteers still prepare each ingredient carefully.
As a new volunteer, I decided to contribute my share when other volunteers told me about the event. Today's event can help strengthen our bond.
Upon learning that Tzu Chi volunteers are holding a Meatless Week event to honor the Buddha, many people happily contribute their share by helping out as kitchen volunteers.
I have counted the portion in each lunchbox carefully. If we don't have enough food, we will cook some more. Everyone knows how much food should be put in each box.
The volunteers promote vegetarianism to members of the public as a way to repay the Buddha's grace, and thanks to their dedication, more and more people are inspired to go meatless. Taiwan's government has invested billions of dollars in dealing with the country's flooding problem. Every year, though, we still hear about the loss of life and property whenever it floods. Experts have pointed out that the government's measures are poorly planned and do not take the workings of nature into careful consideration, which only makes the problems worse.
Bazi River is a stream which flows near Taichung and it floods every time it rains, in spite of the recently fortified flood prevention measures.
This tributary flows through this drain into the main stream, but the exit of the drain is smaller than the entrance, so it is very easy for this tributary to overflow when the volume of water has increased.
As the drain's exit area is smaller than its entrance, and because an anti-flood valve is installed which further limits the water flow, it's no wonder that flooding occurs easily here even without a typhoon. The Zhongxing pumping station in Uri, Taichung has an embankment which was meant to prevent flooding in low-lying areas, but ended up trapping floodwaters inside during Typhoon Sulik of 2013, which caused serious property damage. The problem was only solved by puncturing a hole through the embankment.
Mother Nature will not yield to the will of man. We may try to manipulate water flow by building man-made structures, but dredging must then be done regularly.
In Taichung, floods occur easily at the confluence of the Wu, Dali, and Bazi rivers. Instead of giving the waters more passage space, 10 pairs of large concrete pillars were erected here to support Highway 74 and the high-speed rail, which further reduced the water flow. Flood prevention measures must take the workings of nature into consideration, or they will only do more harm. To prevent Transworld University in Yunlin from flooding, the government widened the neighboring Lunzai River. This, however, worsened the flooding and destroyed the habitat of an endangered tree frog.
What used to be a small creek is now a big ditch. Although it no longer floods here, but downstream near Dounan and Huwei, flooding has only worsened.
但是那个结果是下游斗南、虎尾地区就淹得更惨了。
Building more dikes and widening rivers will only slow down the flow of water, which leads to sedimentation and hypoxia and redirects the floods somewhere else.
The government's effort to treat flooding has only increased the rate of repairs made to bridge supports and levees, as the effects of erosion are now much worse than before.
频率是更高了因为它冲刷的这个情况是比以前呢严重非常多。
Professor Zhang says it's an unwinnable war. Instead, we must learn to coexist in harmony with the workings of nature. Only by giving waters room to flow can we reduce the damage caused by flooding.
As we live, we're taking from the planet. In addition to the consumption of resources, the manufacture of goods that we use daily also causes pollution, bring even more harm to Mother Earth. Eventually, the damage we do to the planet will bring harm to ourselves. Here's a perfect example: the infamous industrial pollution of Taiwan's alkali industrial corp's Anshun plant.
The senior in the picture whose right leg has been amputated is Miss Chen Han. Sadly, she passed away 6 years ago. Her husband says they never thought she would be poisoned from working at a chloroquine plant.
There were several toxins, including pentachlorophenol, which is a type of pesticide, and mercury. When ingested, our bodies simply cannot discharge these toxins.
By the time Miss Chen had passed away, both of her legs had already been amputated, and she had greenish ulcers all over her body, which stank.
A local grocery store owner Lin Xianzhong staggers as he walks. His hair is completely grey, but he's only 64 years old. He used to work in the packaging department of the same plant. The dioxin level in his body is 185 ppm, which is nearly 10 times the normal level of 19.7 ppm.
I can barely see. I suffer from arrhythmia. I pass out about 17 times in a day. I also need dialysis.
60 years ago, Taiwan Alkali Industrial Corp was manufacturing pesticides here for export. The company actually helped launch Taiwan's economy in the old days, but also illegally discharged toxic wastewater which contained mercury and dioxin. The monstrosity was not exposed until residents began to get sick and mutated fish were discovered.
We simply had no idea. We simply ate the fish we caught here, as we had always done. When we realized something was wrong, it was already too late.
Lu Ermen used to be a simple fishing community in Tainan where residents fished for a living. But now all the town's rivers and ponds are quarantined thanks to man-made contamination.
Most of the people living here make their living off the waters. The reason why so many residents have grossly excessive dioxin levels is that they ate the fish they caught locally, so it is simply the effects of the food chain.
We must first deal with what has transpired before we continue with more development.
Sadly, this infamous incident is only one of the many industrial contaminations taking place in Taiwan. When toxic waste is dumped improperly, toxins contaminate the earth and water, which will eventually end up in our stomach. If we want to put an end to such tragedies, people must become more environmentally conscious and realize that everything we do has consequences.
Next, meet palliative nurse Cai Xiumei, who offers palliative care to terminally ill patients in their homes and helps them find peace of mind in their final days.
听起来阿嬷还是有时候会有一点点的声音，就是气流不是很顺发出来的一个声音。我觉得今天也比较稍微喘一点点。
This is palliative nurse Cai Xiumei of DaAi Tzu Chi Hospital, who comes to the grandma's home to tend to her on a weekly basis. Today, she is paying her regular visit.
Nurse Xiumei taught us how to look after grandma so we can spend more time with her. Many family members can enjoy much quality time before their loved ones are gone.
In addition to providing palliative care to patients who are nearing the end of life, Cai Xiumei also offers emotional support to family members as they accompany their loved one throughout the last days.
All of my patients are gone eventually. When I began my work, I wasn't happy because I felt that life was full of misery and misfortune.
After years of practice in household palliative care, however, Cai Xiumei gradually found the value of her work.
Now I believe that my patients will be going to a better place where they can find more comfort and joy. Family members' lives, on the other hand, will gradually return to normal or even become better following their loved ones' passing. Perhaps their passing, to some extent, brings more blessings to those they leave behind.
From the interaction with her patients, Cai Xiumei has learned the meaning of lives. Listening attentively to the grandpa, Cai Xiumei always wears smiles and shows patience as she believes that the best way to accompany these patients through their last stage of life is to listen to their life stories.
In Myanmar, we meet 15-year-old Ma Wai, who thanks to today's tuition subsidy, has the courage to pursue her dream of becoming a teacher. Although it is currently the summer holiday period in Myanmar, many children are studying at the local Tzu Chi liaison office. This is 15-year-old Ma Wai, who had to quit school because her family couldn't afford her tuition. Just when Ma Wai was in despair, Tzu Chi volunteers came into her life.
I don't have to learn under the scorching sun, and I have a lot of food to eat when I am studying at the Tzu Chi liaison office. I have a lot of friends here, and the teachers are very kind to me.
Mawai's mother wants her to go to school, but Mawai says that she needs to work because her family is heavily in debt.
Because of her family's financial situation, as well as studying, Mawai has to work odd jobs to support her family and pay her mother's medical expenses. Despite the hardship, she is still very optimistic.
When I don't have to attend the summer school, I will work as an asphalt paving worker over here. I can earn about $4 per day. Although this place is far away from my home, I don't think it's tiring at all.
To make sure underprivileged students don't fall behind in school, Tzu Chi volunteers launch a summer school program. Through this program, youngsters can improve academically and also learn practical skills.
Many students are living in poverty and therefore don't have good educational foundations. We are holding this program to help them catch up in school.
If it weren't for Tzu Chi, I think I would be working as a housemaid or selling vegetables on the street. My dream is to become a teacher.
Since she was young, Mawai has dreamt about being a teacher, but because of her family's financial situation, she never believed she could fulfill this dream. Thankfully, with Tzu Chi's help, Mawai can finally pursue her dream.
I will work hard to catch up in school so I can pursue my dream of becoming a teacher.
I think it's our duty to help Mawai complete her school regardless of any obstacle. All the volunteers will work together to help Mawai every step of the way.
With the support of Tzu Chi volunteers and her family, Mawai's school marks has improved significantly. Through receiving education, Mawai hopes to leave poverty behind and create a better future for her family and herself. In Taipei, Taiwan, there's a soybean pudding peddler who won the name Grandpa Dohua as he's already 103 years old. However, after suffering a fall last year, Grandpa Dohua has been unable to carry on his job. Thankfully, many kind people are offering their assistance, including Tzu Chi volunteers.
Mr. Wang Shaoyi has peddled dohua in Taipei's Gongguan for more than 6 decades. Now 103 years old, a fall last year forced him to stop working and live on government subsidy.
I lost my balance and fell. My legs went weak.
A closure notice is hung outside of the senior's home, while miscellaneous items occupy his snack cart. To prevent more accidents, Tzu Chi volunteers are here.
We have been caring for Grandpa Dohua since he was 99 years old. In his bathroom and throughout his home, we have installed handrails and anti-slip tapes, which help protect him.
For 5 years, Tzu Chi volunteers have been caring for the senior just-like family. Grandpa Wang's home is also filled with supplies donated by kind people. Besides daily meals prepared by volunteers, his neighbors also give him a ride to the hospital.
I take him to see a Chinese medicine doctor for therapeutic massage and herbal patch.
Many people have been coming by to show their support during this period.
Thanks to the support and love of so many people, Grandpa Dohua can rest easy and focus on getting better.
We go to Vietnam at the end of the show. Tzu Chi volunteers organize a blood donation drive to encourage members of the public to donate their blood to save lives. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.